Do you ever go into any of those situations where maybe you're talking to somebody about some problem that you have and you say, I know I shouldn't be doing this and that I should do this instead, that you reasonably know what the correct solution is in doing something, but you're still choosing to do something else? It might be some sense of self sabotage, but it doesn't really feel that way. There's a lot of these types of situations that people are in. I think the one that is the most notable is if you ever were a smoker, or maybe you were with somebody who was a smoker. They pull out the cigarette and they say, I know I need to quit smoking. The thing that they know they should be doing that is going to have detrimental effects to them is not a good enough reason yet for them to stop doing that thing. And how does that show up in other places? I have been thinking a lot about what the idea of self sabotage is and how do we actually get out of that and really reframe it where we don't think about it as sabotaging at all. Because we can look at some example like smoking, very big one, that maybe you've been in it, maybe not. And maybe we can think of things like saying, oh, I know I need to get into shape. I need to go to the gym. Or I really should call my parents more. I haven't really talked to them a lot. We're talking about ideas that have to do with your physical health, your mental health, your family, your relationships, and how detrimental it could be by not doing those things simply because we have that mental block. And we could be talking about discipline or motivation, which doesn't seem like it is those things. And it's not education because we know how important not doing some of these things are, yet in our minds we're saying that we don't have the willpower or we don't have the time. We have some sort of excuse in there that is making us make the worst choice possible and still it not being enough to say, why am I still doing this? And how do we actually get past that point? Because we can think of these situations in smaller scenarios, like if you are at work and you know you have some insight that you want to provide, but you don't feel confident, you don't know how to wrap the words up in the way that is actually going to move the people to side with you or even understand you. And so you decide not to. And then somebody who says something less good of an idea as yours, but more confidently, and everybody can be swayed by that, where had you offered yours, it could have done that same thing. That was the same type of choice by deciding not to do the thing and then moreover, not working on making sure that that doesn't happen again. We can look at that deeper into work, that you know you deserve a promotion, but you don't want to ask for it. That your mind is trying to push you into the comfort of not going to the potential failure of it. And when we look at all of these, it is some sort of failure that we're trying to work against. The smoking, you don't want to be the failure at quitting. You can do it while you have the motivation, while you understand that it is very important for you to not to do it. And then the minute you have some sort of obstacle in the way, you revert back to who you are because that is what you view yourself as. And this really gets into the three ways that we can actually identify when we're doing this and stopping it completely. And the first one is one that you've probably heard. It's that you are making a choice. Every time that you choose to do something, you're actively choosing not to do something else. When you're choosing not to do something, you're actively choosing to do something else. So if you were to quit the smoking, you are actively choosing to not do the smoking. And in that, we understand that every time we pick up the cigarette, we are choosing to smoke. And more importantly, we are choosing to be a smoker. We are continuing on that path. Because at any moment in time when we decide to either do something or not do something, it's a split-second decision. It is in your comfort. It is whatever it feels like is the most necessary thing to do at that moment. And when you think about the people who are trying to quit the bad behaviors, it is moment by moment. It is this moment, I'm not going to do the thing. The next moment, I'm not going to do the thing. And when you string those along, you have many long moments that turn into days, weeks, months, years of not doing that thing. And trying to understand the importance of those moments is the biggest thing, that in that moment, you are choosing not to do something or to do something. So if you are that person at work who normally doesn't speak up when they have something of value to say, in that moment, you are choosing to not be that person. And if we can identify that that is happening, and when it's happening, you are making that choice, you're going to be more likely to be more mindful of that decision next time. that in that next time, you're going to try it regardless. So you can become that person that does that. And that is where we go into the second method, which is your identity. Every person who stopped smoking did so because they viewed themselves as a non-smoker at that point. They said, I'm no longer a smoker. I'm not that person anymore, so I'm not going to do that thing. If you continue to view yourself as a smoker, or let's say in anything, if you try to learn a language, you wouldn't want to 3 years down the road of learning the language to say that, oh, I'm trying to learn the language, or I'm still in the process of learning. You would call yourself a speaker of that language if you were able to, because the proof is in the ability of doing it. Being able to identify that you are this type of person makes it so you're more likely to not go against your identity. You identify as the person that you want to be, you're more likely going to start holding the values of the type of person who does that thing. So the person who wants to be more confident or has more agency, the person who always delivers and fulfills their promises, the person who says that I'm not a smoker anymore, and the person who says I make time for my family. All of these people are identifying as those things, so their behaviors have to follow who they are. And in those moments, it's important to identify what the reasons are that you are deciding to not do the things. That every moment that they come up, when you say, I know I should do this, but I'm doing this instead, examine why. Actually understand, because you're being biased by everything that you're telling yourself. When we have conversations in our mind, they usually are one way, that your mind is telling you things and you're reacting to them. That's not a conversation. The conversation requires you to step back as a third party. Identify what this conversation is, strip out all the bias, everything that your mind is trying to make you do, and take in the information and identify what those things are. So listen to the reasons that your mind is giving you and see if you can argue those reasons back. That if they're telling you that you just need to do this one time because you're stressed, and you identify, okay, what is it that I'm stressed about? And is this actually going to help that? If I do this today, is it going to help me a week from now? Is it actually lasting enough where this is going to cure the problem that I'm having? If you don't have time now, you say, okay, when is it that I'm going to have time, and how can I make it so I do have time for these things that are important? And in that meeting, when you don't want to speak up, you say, okay, if I don't want to speak up here, what is it that is making me feel that way? Is it that I don't have enough information? Is it that if somebody questions me, I'm not going to be able to have the information to respond back? We understand then, if this is an information problem, you know how to tackle that. So the next time these questions come up, you will have the argument back to say, no, I have learned on this. I know what I have to say, so I can give the responses needed for this. And in being afraid of trying to do the thing that you don't want to do, you will be reinforced in knowing that you have the ability to do it, which will get you more likely to start identifying as the person that you want to be in that. And so when we're thinking about self-sabotage, this isn't in the same realm of what most people are going to think of, but if we can understand that there is a severity in it, because if we have big ideas, big behaviors, where we have all of the knowledge to know that these things could be detrimental to our life, and yet we still aren't doing the thing we rationally should, we need to take measures in identifying where that is showing up in the smaller areas that we may not consider that important, because those could have cascading effects. You ask for that promotion and you will get it. You ask that promotion and you don't get it, but they tell you what you need to do so you can get it. We're leaving with more information that otherwise we would have been so afraid to do. And it's because we weren't identifying the reasons that we're trying to rationalize with ourselves that end up being irrational.